Hi knitters, it's Mimi with Pastiche Knitwear. Today I would like to show you how to read your work and determine how to count your rows. You can see I've got a little swatch here and I've got stockinette on one side and garter stitch on the other side. So we're going to start by reading the stockinette because it's a little easier to do. So we are always going to begin by locating the cast on. Now in this little sample I did a long tail cast on and just began knitting. And so I'm going to look at this first, I'm going to bring it up a little bit closer. I'm going to look at this first row here and I'm going to put my needle behind this first stitch that looks like a V, right? Looks like a knit stitch. But this stitch right here corresponds to my cast on. And so I'm not going to count this when I count my rows because my cast on is a discrete action. Your pattern will say, cast on X number of stitches and then knit X number of rows. So we won't count the cast on, but we are going to count every subsequent V, including what is up on the needle because it has been created. So we won't count the cast on, but we will count what's up on the needle. So we're going to omit this one because that's the cast on. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's down in the valley there. And 10. So I have done a cast on and then I've knitted 10 rows. So that's pretty straightforward. Now let's come on over to garter stitch because garter stitch can be a little more challenging to read. It's a reversible fabric. So the key is I need to make sure that I'm starting on the right side of the work, not the wrong side of the work. Because I know that when I'm doing garter stitch, all I'm ever doing is knitting, I'm not purling. I want to make sure that the first row I'm looking at is a knit row, not a purl row. So if I look down here, I'm going to identify my cast on, which is this first stitch right here. So I'm not going to count that. Let me bring this up so we can see it a little closer. Now if I put my needle behind the next row up, I can see that is a knit stitch. How do I know that's a knit stitch? I know it's a knit stitch because there's nothing at the base of this. It's coming straight up out of the previous row. That is what a knit looks like. Now if I come up to the next row and put my needle behind here, I can see that this stitch is a purl stitch because it has the little horizontal bump at its base. So I have verified that this is actually the front of the work because I'm always going to be starting with a knit row and then I'm going to turn it around, knit again, and it will present as a purl row on the presentation side. So this is a side from which I'm going to start counting. And in this case, I can count by twos. I can count ridges rather than rows because I know I always start with a knit and then have a purl. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. You can see here that that is the last thing I did on there. It appears as a purl. So that's how you count garter stitch. So I hope that this has been helpful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.